This the Tristen Law Show. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Tristen Law, semi-retired pro wrestler. Today, I'm your host. So, we've got a pro wrestler and a U.S. veteran, Syko Stu, in a hospital bed. But this wasn't just part of the show. So what we got here was a real assault at the trained hands of Rampage Jackson, the son of UFC legend Rampage Jackson, in the middle of a pro wrestling ring, with Stu ending up hospitalized, maybe broken bones, and the whole entire wrestling world, they are divided. But as a semi-retired pro wrestler and as a fan and as a human being, I can't just gloss over this. I want to let it go. I want to not talk about it. But today we're going to break down what happened, why it matters, and what it truly says about pro wrestling's blurred lines between performance and reality. We got a poll going on right now. If you're watching this live anywhere other than your television, I'm asking you, who is at fault? There's three organizations that I put at fault. Is it Rampage Jackson? Is it SykoStu? Or is it KnokX Pro Wrestling, the organization that put on the show? I'm not going to show the clip today. I'm assuming that you've watched it, that you've seen the clip already. The reason why I'm not going to show the clip is because it's really violent. It's not something that I want to glorify, but it's something that we are definitely going to talk about today. So did you watch it? Did you avoid it? I promise you this, even if you didn't watch the video, it's okay, because I'm going to give you a little play-by-play to catch you up to speed. So this happened on August 23rd at a KnokX Pro Wrestling event. Raja, who is the son, let me show y'all what Raja looked like, because, we need to start putting some names to the faces. Rampage Jackson. He is the son of UFC legend Rampage Jackson. He was meeting with KnokX Pro Wrestling, and KnokX Pro Wrestling, in case you don't know, is ran by Rikishi. This is the father of Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso, right? So it's his organization. And for some strange reason, I don't know why, the whole entire time that Raja was backstage, it was being recorded. Why? I don't know. Maybe they were shooting a promo or whatever. So then enter in, that's Stu. Stu decided to put himself in the video. I don't know where he came from. But what he did was he came in there and he started having a verbal altercation, and it looked like he was working, right? When I say work today, I'm not talking about going to your real job. When I say work, what I'm talking about is the ability to put on a stage theatrical pro wrestling event. That's what I mean by work. So Stu came up, and which looked like he was at work, and he stood toe-to-toe with Rampage Jackson. And they had some kind of words. And then what happened was that Stu picked up the beer can and held the beer can in his hand. I'm assuming that it's a beer can. It looked like a beer can. Didn't look like any soda I've ever drank in my life. But what he did was he hit Rampage Jackson in the head with the can. I think that's where everything started going downhill. So now it looks like Raja wasn't in on it, because Raja wasn't backing down at all. Raja was in it like, yo, he's ready. He took his stuff off and he was ready to fight, because he clearly wasn't in on this work that was going on. Everybody shakes hands. There's water on the fire, diffuses the very volatile situation, but it's not over. It's not done between those two, because if that was it, this would be a short video. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate you hanging out on the Tristen Law Show. But this is not what the case is. Sorry, still a little bit sick. Raja was told after the whole entire encounter by the booker, he was told that he wants this to be a part of the storyline. He said that that they could probably do some stuff with this. This was not a work. For one guy, it was maybe a work, and the other side, it was definitely a shoot. And the person that it was a shoot for was Rampage Jackson, and the person that it was not a shoot, the person that it was a shoot for was Raja, and the person that it was not a shoot for was this man right here. This man right here, SykoStu, the man that's sitting up in the hospital right now. Raja was told that he'll have his moment with SykoStu, and Stu was like, yeah, all right, cool, because as long as I get my lick back, I'm good. That's the moment where I think that they messed up. That's the moment where they should have took that guy right here. This guy right here. Animal. Get that animal out of the ring. He doesn't belong in here. He doesn't belong in a pro wrestling event. You know what? Maybe Stu went to business for himself, hit the guy in the head with the can, but you know what? This is not a storyline that we're not going to be able to go along with. So now fast forward to the ring. We're now in the wrestling ring. Stu is doing his thing in the ring, but now it's time for Raja to make his appearance in the ring. He picks up Stu for a double leg takedown, but it looks like it's a shoot because Raja slams Stu so hard that Stu doesn't even get to take his own bump. One of the most important things in pro wrestling is that you let the person take their own bump. Yes, Raja's a trained fighter. He's just like Brock Lesnar, no different, except that Raja doesn't know how to work. He's not a wrestler. When Stu's feet leaves the ground, they go exactly where Raja wants them to go. But there's one thing you got to look at. Hold on, I'm still sick and I'm still choking. The thing you got to look at is that when Raja picks up Stu, Stu's not fighting back. Why? Because Stu thinks it's a work. He's allowing him. There's no fight. He even posted for him a little bit. Everything to put him in the right position, but he got slammed so hard because Raja said that he wanted to get his lick back. To him, it was real. So then what happened was that Raja dropped a couple of haymakers. A couple is an understatement. From what I understand, from what I looked at, it was about 20 some odd punches to the face of Stu and knocking him unconscious if that slam, the double leg takedown, didn't already make him unconscious. Promoter talk about, we can make this into something, telling the unhinged animal that he can F Stu up inside of a match. What happened was that another wrestler named Douglas Mallow, he intervened. He said that Raja would have killed Stu. 100% that Raja would have killed Stu. A lot of people on the internet are saying, why didn't the other pro wrestlers come in to intervene? A lot of them probably thought it was a work. A lot of them probably thought it was a part of the show. But if you knew what happened before, if this was something that you were going to do, what should have happened was that they should have had wrestlers standing by the curtain and says, yo, if this goes south, y'all need to get in there right away. And it went south from the second that this guy got into the ring. Now LAPD is investigating this whole entire thing, and the rumor is that KnokX Pro wrestlers have been told not to cooperate. I think that's bullcrap. We're running a poll right now asking who's at fault. Now that you know the whole entire story, I'm asking you who's at fault. If you're watching this live anywhere other than your television, who's at fault? Is it Rampage Jackson? Is it SykoStu? Or is it KnokX Pro Wrestling? Right now, 100% of the voters say that Rampage Jackson is at fault. If you're watching this on demand, not live, or you're listening to this on the audio only, just type in the comments who you think is at fault. Comments are always open for business. As a fan, when does a wrestling angle stop being entertainment and when does it become disturbing? Where is that line for you? That's the important part. But if this was just a one-off mistake, we'd all move on, right? So why is this story exploding beyond the wrestling bubble? Well, here's the fallout. WWE, they cut ties with KnokX Pro Wrestling. It hasn't been confirmed why. WWE did release some talent that were affiliated with the WWID. WWID is where the WWE is plucking people directly from independents, from independent pro wrestling, not putting them in NXT, but giving them a place to shine up before they get to NXT. They're adding one extra layer at the bottom before they move up. And they were using independent pro wrestling companies like KnokX Pro Wrestling to do so. So maybe this fallout is not from the whole entire, thing that happened over the weekend, but you know what? Let's say that it is. What I want to say is congratulations to KnokX Pro. The reason why I'm congratulating KnokX Pro is because y'all effed up the money. If the reason why you no longer have an affiliation with WWEID is because of this whole entire thing, I hope you feel good. You effed up the money. Let me explain to you guys that are not pro wrestlers how WWEID, how being affiliated with WWEID as an independent pro wrestling school benefits the school. When you're applying to go to a pro wrestling school, you want to be, everybody wants to wrestle for the WWE. Don't let nobody fool you. Don't flim-flam, okey-doke yourself or bamboozle yourself. Everybody wants to wrestle in the WWE. And if you can attach to your name that if you come to our school, you got a good opportunity to be looked at by the WWE, it's a reason for you to charge more money. Every time somebody from your school makes it, you can say to new prospects, hey, I had Roman Reigns in my school, and look at Roman Reigns now. I had Seth Rollins in my school. Look at that school now. You're not saying that that person's going to be the next Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins, but hey, we're obviously doing something here right if we can train you up to that level to go to WWE. There are a lot more factors in there, but being associated to WWE ID is a good look. You want to be associated to WWE ID. But KnokX Pro Wrestling, which is ran by Rikishi, is no longer associated with WWE ID because y'all effed up the money. Once again, I'm going to give y'all an applause because y'all deserve it. Y'all deserve it. If the reason why you guys are not affiliated with WWE ID anymore is because y'all allowed this stupidness to go on, it's good for y'all. I don't feel bad for people that do dumb things and get caught. When you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And this is your prize. So now there's accusation of cover-ups going on with the whole thing right now. There's a lack of, if KnokX Pro Wrestling is telling wrestlers to not cooperate, it shows a lack of accountability from KnokX Pro Wrestling and anyone refusing to cooperate. There are a lot of culpable people in here because there's a crime that happened in that ring. A lot of people are responsible. A lot of people are accountable. A lot of people are left holding the bag. There's a lot of people holding this bag. AJ Mana, you might not know who he is. He's a small character in this whole entire story. But if you see the live stream, and remember I told you I'm not showing you the video. I'm assuming that you watched the video already. If you didn't watch the video, after we're done here, go ahead and watch the video yourself. AJ Mana, he's a wrestler, just like me. AJ Mana is a wrestler. Just like this guy right here. Just like Stu. But you know who AJ Mana is not? AJ Mana is not a mixed martial artist. AJ Mana is not an MMA fighter like Rampage Jackson. He's the one that told Rampage Jackson to go ahead and get his receipt on Stu. For those of you who may not understand what the receipt is, I'll tell you what the receipt is. When you go to the store and you buy something, right? What do you have to show for it? You have your receipt. Okay, I got mine. Don't worry, I got mine. I got my receipt. So now in pro wrestling, when you might potato somebody, you might hit somebody a little bit too hard or something like that, they might feel that you've taken liberties. One wrestler might feel that the work is not so much of a work, and it's just a little bit of a shoot, and because of that, I need my receipt. I've gotten a receipt before, and I've gotten receipts taken on me. It's a boys thing. You know what? My bad. You take your receipt on the chin and you keep it pushing. But it doesn't work because Roger's not a pro wrestler. Roger's not a pro wrestler. He's the one that told him, yo, just go ahead and go get your receipt. Maybe he had heat with Raja. I don't know. AJ got fired from his regular job and he's no longer associated with KnokX Pro Wrestling. You know what? Let's give AJ a clap too. Reason why we're going to give AJ Mana a clap as well too, because he also effed up his money. He allowed a work, pro wrestling, to interfere with his shoot job. What are you making, a couple of bucks? Maybe $1,000 a year wrestling on the indies? And you allow that to mess up your couple $1,000 a year job, whatever he was doing, I don't know, pumping gas, working on Wall Street, I don't know. But he was told by his employer that, you know what, because of you being associated with that crime, we don't want you here no more, because TMZ got it. TMZ is now paying attention to this whole entire thing. Maybe what KnokX Pro Wrestling wanted was a TMZ moment. And you know what? They 100% got that moment. SykoStu is in the hospital. His family is saying that he is conscious and he's alert. And I think that's great. And that's great that Stu is not looking into getting into the hole for the long dirt nap. There is a GoFundMe campaign. If you're interested in donating, the link is in the description should you wish to donate. It's currently over $170,000 right now as we are doing this live episode, maybe $175,000. Two people that have donated that I just want to name and give them a shout out. This person donated $10,000. Didn't have to donate $10,000. Mr. Beast. Big time YouTuber Mr. Beast donated $10,000 to SykoStu's recovery fund. He didn't have to. But you know what? He felt that SykoStu was taken advantage of by not only KnokX Pro Wrestling, but Rampage Jackson, and he felt that $10,000 was enough to help Stu get back on his feet. Because you know what? He probably missed a couple days of work. In case you don't know, a lot of us independent wrestlers, a large portion of us, we don't live the lifestyle of a Matt Cardona, where wrestling is primarily how we do our thing. Right? No. We live a lifestyle that we might work at places like Walmart. We might be police officers. We might be firefighters. We might be lawyers. But on the weekend, Friday nights, Saturday nights, and occasionally Sunday for the matinee, we wrestle. And then on Monday, we go back to our regular jobs, all hoping, some of us hope to get to the WWE or AEW, the next step, to quit those regular jobs. And some of us are just happy wrestling on the indies. This man got assaulted in the ring. That there is Syko Stu. And Syko Stu probably missed a couple of days of work. If he's in the hospital, he probably missed a couple of days of work. I wouldn't be surprised if Syko Stu had to go to work that night and he didn't get to go to work because why? He's laid up in the hospital. Chris Jericho donated $2,500. Let me talk about Chris Jericho for a second. Chris Jericho didn't have to donate $2,500. Chris Jericho also donated to Vince Steele. If you don't remember Vince Steele, that's the emotional episode that we did a couple months ago with the tragic passing of father, pro wrestler, son, brother. We did a memorial episode for him. I go check that out. It's emotional. But Chris Jericho donated to that, and he donated to what's going on here. This comes to show this. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. You never know who is watching. You never know who is tuned into what you are doing. You need to always make sure you're doing the right thing. And if you're doing the wrong thing, the people that could be in a position to bless you could see you and be like, you know what? Forget that guy. So I want to give a hand clap to everybody that's donated so far. And if you wish to donate, located in the description of this episode, you can find the link and you can donate to the recovery of SykoStu. I am still sick. Imagine having a 2.5-year-old like I do, and I am sick. He just puts the germs on me. Here's the real question now. I want to ask you this. Let me know whether you're watching live, on demand. We're going to talk about it for a little bit. Should WWE have cut ties with KnokX Pro immediately or waited for the investigation? Sound off. Sound off in the comments. If you are watching live, here's the perk for you. Let me know who you think is responsible. Is it Rampage Jackson? Is it SykoStu? Or is it KnokX Pro Wrestling? I think that WWE probably did the right thing right away to cut ties with KnokX Pro Wrestling. Here's why. WWE is a public corporation, and they don't want their money getting messed up. They want to be able to still facilitate an ecosystem to where they can charge you $5,000 to sit in the nosebleeds at WrestleMania. I said it. Yeah. I think that WWE cutting ties with KnokX Pro Wrestling, if this is the reason why this whole entire event is the reason why they cut ties with KnokX Pro Wrestling, it's such a standard across the industry that if you're going to be with WWE ID, you need to be at a higher class. You need to be above the rest. You can't be running no hokey BS pro wrestling event to where you allow somebody to get hurt. What if the person that got hurt was a WWE ID person? What if the person that got hurt was a person that was in NXT? That could have been the next prospect. What if they had somebody there like a Logan Paul, and the guy tried to shoot on Logan Paul, and that whole entire thing happened? Grant, I don't think that Logan Paul's that much of an idiot that he would hit a guy in the head with a beer can and not understand the work between the shoot. But you know what? There's more there. But that's just the business side of things. So let's talk about the reaction, because the wrestling and MMA world, everybody's split on this. Everybody's got something to say about that. And you know what? So do I. So do I. We're working through everything right now. The father of Raja Jackson, Mr. Rampage Jackson, he said that he thought that it was a part of the show. And I think it's an honest statement from Rampage. The reason why I think that it's an honest opinion from Rampage is because if you're in a pro wrestling ring, if you're backstage, if you're hanging out with the wrestlers, wouldn't you assume right away that they are a part of the show? I don't think that anybody with a brain cell right now that is watching that in the arena is not thinking that Raj is not a part of the show. Raj even had his own music. It only made sense that you would think that he is a part of the show. Somebody else that had something to say about it, WWE Hall of Famer Rob Van Dam. He says he's got Raj's back. He shouldn't have been in the ring. You know what? I don't fault RVD for that. Raja should not have been in the ring. I think that KnokX Pro Wrestling, I think that they failed SykoStu. And the reason why I feel that they failed SykoStu is because they should have never put Raja in the ring. What they should have done was seen immediately what was happening and say, you know what, we're going to cancel what we're going to do with this guy tonight. That us putting Raja in the ring, it's not happening because he's a hot tamale. He's a hothead. It's not happening. I understand when RVD says that he's got Raja's back, but I 100% feel RVD when he says that Raja shouldn't have never been in the ring. Had no business being in the ring. You want me to give you the number one reason why Raja Jackson had no reason being in the ring? He's not a wrestler. He's not a wrestler. Leave the wrestling to the wrestling. There's a reason why people buy tickets, and there's a reason why people are in the ring. You know why I'm not going into an MMA ring to go fight nobody? I'll tell you why. Because I'm not a mixed martial artist. You know the reason why I decided to go do pro wrestling? Because I didn't want nobody to punch me for real. I said it. Yeah. Never thought you'd hear me say that, right? We also got more people chiming in. We got Mark Henry. Mark Henry, WWE Hall of Famer. He puts partial blame on SykoStu. Me personally, I agree with Mark Henry. SykoStu appears to have went into business for himself. This is just me looking at the video and just making my assumption on the video. When I say that SykoStu is going into business for himself, when I am in the ring with, let's say, Mark Henry, me and Mark decide what we are going to do. If I decide that I want to veer off that road and go somewhere else, that's me going into business for myself. That's not good. That shows that sometimes when you go into business for yourself, somebody has to snatch that ass and get you in check. Right now, the poll, 2/3 of people say that Raja Jackson is at fault, with 1/3 of people saying that KnokX Pro Wrestling is the people that are at fault. If you're watching this live, lock in your vote. Because this is important. You may not have a lot to say today. You may just want to hear what I have to say about the statement, about the incident. But what's happening here is I'm giving you guys still a part to be a part of the show. Syko does have to take some blame for this. Let me tell you why. If it's going to be a work, both people have to know that it's a work. You can't just say, oh, I'm just going to walk in and I'm going to start working. And as I'm working, I'm going to give him the wink. That's not where Raja comes from. Raja's a badass man. He's an animal, right? If you don't let him know what's going on, how is he supposed to play along? You know, one thing that I learned from my mother when I was younger, and I still say this now, my mother used to always tell me, don't go out in the street play fighting. You know why? Because it's always play fighting until somebody gets slapped for real. And then it's real fighting. Don't play fight. I never play fight. Once my mother told me that, I'm like, yeah, my mother made a good point. I don't play fight no more. I stopped play fighting. It's not something that I did. But somebody else that also had something to say about the whole entire situation, and this person here, this is the person from the MMA. You might not know who that is. That is MMA fighter Sean Strickland. He says that what should happen to Raja is that Raja should get rehab, not prison. I agree and I disagree with Sean. I think that Raja needs to be held accountable. 100%. You can't just come in the ring and do what you did and just expect to walk away scot-free. If there is no criminal accountability for Raja, there is at least financial accountability. Okay? I would not be surprised if this whole thing turns into a lawsuit. And there's a lot of names that are going to be brought up inside this whole entire lawsuit. KnokX Pro Wrestling is going to have to there's going to be a lot of people. I don't want to say anybody in particular, but a lot of people are going to have to bend over and kiss the behind of Stu Jackson. Just watch. of SykoStu. Raja does need rehab. Raja's an animal. Rumor and innuendo is that Rampage used to always say he's got 2 sons and he's got 2 accounts. For one son, he's got one account that's going to pay for his college tuition, and the next account he's going to use to pay for the other son with bail money. You guess which son is which. Listen, let me get on my soapbox right now. This is my soapbox about mental health. We need to stop walking around as men. Let me talk to the men real quick. All right? If you got a man in your life, or if you're a woman, you got a teenager who's your son, nephew. If you're a teacher, you got boys in the classroom. Boys, listen. Men, listen. I need to take care of this. The head part. Your head part you need to take care of. The same way you take care of this, and you go work out, you go run to go look sexy for the girls, take care of your head too. Because there's nothing more attractive than somebody who's emotionally intelligent. Raja was known to be a loose cannon. Is known to be a loose cannon. Maybe the way he channeled himself was going through fighting. Maybe instead of channeling himself through fighting, he should have went to therapy first. Maybe there's something that bothered the guy. Maybe he used to always hate. Maybe he used to get made fun of when he was a kid. I don't know. But it's no excuse for his bad behavior. Does Raja Jackson need some kind of rehab? Yes. Does he need to go to prison? Maybe. A crime was committed and accountability needs to happen. Men, take care of your mental health. There's no reason that anybody should find you in a situation to where they have to mourn you. There's no reason that you walk into a place and you hurt a bunch of people because you're not right. Take care of yourself. I sat on somebody's leather couch. By you sitting on somebody's leather couch, it only refines you. You're not telling people your business. The people that sit there in the therapist, they hear business all day. Your business is just a little bit of business. Then they're going to go home and talk to their friends about you? You think that you're that important that they're going to go home and tell their friends about you? They say that the wrestlers are outraged. That locker room trust, it's betrayed. That is not how a pro wrestling locker room should work. Everybody's so quick to get famous to get the rub that they're going to allow anybody into a wrestling ring to sell tickets. Who's at fault? A lot of people could be at fault at this. Damn. Look, I'm sick. I'm working. Yesterday I had the flu. Like symptoms. I had a fever. I'm working. I'm doing this. We're doing good. You can't just be so quick to put people in the ring just to go ahead and get the rub because you want to make yourself look good. Because, by having Raja Jackson in the ring, it makes us look good because we got a little bit of credibility. If you want a little bit of credibility, why don't you work on making sure your wrestlers are better wrestlers? I'm not saying that KnokX Pro Wrestling has bad or good wrestlers. But what I'm saying is that somebody like Raja Jackson, if he was showing up for an appearance, have him show up for an appearance. But I promise you this. Nobody heard about Roger Jackson until this weekend. There was no reason that Roger Jackson should have been in that pro wrestling ring, because if you ask me, I think he had zero star power. That guy they wanted somebody famous in the ring at KnokX Pro Wrestling. Well, he's not famous anymore. He's now infamous. And that's good for them. I gave you the reaction of RVD, Mark Henry, Rampage Jackson, and Sean Strickland. Whose reaction do you agree with most? But that raises the biggest question. Was this a wrestling failure or a human one? So let's break it down from 3 angles: wrestler, fan, and human. In case you didn't know, I'm a semi-retired pro wrestler, host of the Tristen Law Show. I sit here with you because I love wrestling so much that I not only went to go pay money to learn how to do it, I also paid money to go to broadcasting schools and bought all this equipment so I can sit here and I could talk to you about it. One of the things that I look forward to every week is sitting here with you and talking about this episode. And I want to remind you as well that it's my 40th birthday on Saturday morning. Well, Saturday. All day Saturday, not just the morning. And we're having a special show for my birthday where we're going to be recapping 40 years of pro wrestling. I was born in the same year as WrestleMania, and we're going to be talking about wrestling for the last 40 years. We're going to be taking a walk down memory lane about pro wrestling, and I want you to be there. Join me this Saturday at noon Eastern here on YouTube. As a semi-retired pro wrestler, trust is the foundation in the ring. You are trusting somebody. I got a story for you. You are trusting somebody to take your body, do whatever they want with your body, but to not hurt your body, to not destroy your body, to not damage your body. One of the things that happened to me when I was wrestling was I got solicited to wrestle on a show. And I took the opportunity to go ahead and wrestle on the show. So when I got to the show, I met who I was working, the person I was wrestling with. The person I was wrestling with was the person I was putting the show together. But the person's running around putting together the whole card and making sure that everybody's good for the night. So now when he comes to me and says, Tristen, what do you want to do? Or what can you do? He had a little bit more time with me than me on the job, said he's been wrestling longer than me. That's great. So I listened to him. He told me that this is what we were going to do. But one of the moves he wanted to tell me was, hey, I want to give you a pile driver. Where he wanted to drop me on my head. So me being the man that I am, I use my brain. So I said to him, you know what, brother? I've never taken a pile driver before. I'm not comfortable taking that. Maybe we can do something else. I always had the mentality. At the time, I sold cell phones at AT&T. I can't sell cell phones if I was crippled. Yeah, I'd come in bruised up, maybe, damaged in some way, but I did not want to be paralyzed sitting in a chair. So he goes, all right, fine. We figure out a different way to carry out the match, because in case you don't know, we talk about the match before we go out there. Right before we go out, he says, hey, I'm so excited to work with you in the ring. We're literally getting ready to go out. Like they're doing whatever they're doing. They're getting ready to call us so that we can come out, play our individual music. We go out there, pretend that we hate each other and beat each other up for like 10, 15 minutes. But the thing that he said to me right before I went out made a chill go down my spine. He says to me, I'm so glad to be wrestling you, Tristen. I haven't wrestled a match in like 5 years. And you were going to tombstone me and drop me on my head? And you haven't wrestled a match in 5 years? Are you out of your mind? I want to take a second to say thank you to Bubba Ray Dudley, to Devon Dudley, to Nunzio, to Richie Rotten, to Preacher, to Crowbar, to every person that I ever stood in the ring with to teach me pro wrestling. And you know what? I even want to thank my mother for sitting there and giving me a little bit of common sense so that I knew better to not go with something that I wasn't comfortable with, because that could have definitely put me in a wheelchair.
Thank you.
One of the things that I was always taught by Richie Rotten and Nunzio and Preacher at their wrestling school was that the most important thing that you need to do is always protect yourself and your opponent at all times. No matter what, you protect yourself first, and then you protect your opponent at all times. You do not go out there and take liberties with somebody. Yes, it is a work. It is staged. It is theatrical. But you don't go out there and just pick a guy up and just throw the guy and hope the guy just lands somewhere. There was things that I always said that I never did. I never threw myself down on the outside area of the ring because most of the places where I wrestled, there wasn't any padding. So I was not just going to throw myself down there in the ring. I'm not an idiot. But if you told me that you wanted to do it, I would let you do it. I would never suggest it for you. You know, when I first met Sonny Kiss, I wrestled Sonny Kiss a long time ago. I probably had one of his first interactions in pro wrestling. And everybody agreed that I should pick him up and throw him outside the ring onto a crowd. I didn't think that was safe, but it's what they want to do. I didn't volunteer it. You need to be in charge of your own safety to know what is safe and what is not safe. I picked the guy up and threw the guy out the ring, just like they wanted. I did that. Protect yourself and protect your opponent. I could only protect my opponent. You can only protect your opponent so much. But you need to protect yourself 100% of the way. Because if your opponent wants to do something crazy, even though you tell them no, when they want to do a backflip and land outside on their feet on the outside of the ring, that's on them. That's on them, Ben. It's not on you. Roger broke that sacred trust in the pro wrestling ring. Fernando, thanks for joining. Good afternoon. Sorry I'm late. Just got out of work. You know what, brother? But I'm glad that you're here. The best part about the Tristen Law Show is if you can't watch it live, you can always catch it on demand. Better late than never. Roger broke that sacred trust when it came to taking care of your opponent in the ring. You know, the foundations of the ring, protecting yourself and your opponent at all time. But what would you expect from Roger Jackson? He is as much as a pro wrestler as my 2-year-old son. What do you expect from the guy? Right? You expect the guy to have the morals of a pro wrestler when he's trained as an MMA fighter? This is me talking to you as a wrestler, because I wrestled. This isn't just, this whole entire thing with Roger Jackson and SykoStu and KnokX Pro Wrestling, it wasn't just unprofessional, it was downright dangerous. Why was there a beer can at a wrestling show? I don't know if it was a beer can, but we're going to freestyle and say it was a beer can. One thing that I never did when I wrestle, I'm not going to lie, I do drink a little bit. I'm not there to get drunk, but the way I always looked at it, when I got at a pro wrestling show, I was there to work. Because when you always go into the ring, you always say, hey, you're working with this person tonight, right? It's not usually you're wrestling this person tonight, right? It's usually I'm working this person. The word wrestle is left for the fans, and when I'm talking to another wrestler, I'm like, oh yeah, I worked with that person before. It's work. When I would never show up to my regular 9-to-5 job drunk. I would not drink at my regular 9-to-5 job. That's not how I roll. I've been in the pro wrestling locker room, and I've seen for guys, it's a straight up party. They want to go do, you know, some stuff to their nose. What they call it, sugar booger sugar, whatever they call it. Some guys want to do booger sugar. They want to go sniff. Some guys want to go smoke. Some guys want to drink. Some guys want to take tablets, pills. For me, look, I ain't never taken no drug in my life. I might have had an edible one time. One time, and we're not talking about it. Maybe I can get a random at work. I would love to get a random at work. Anyway, we're not, neither here nor there. For me, I never saw pro wrestling as a party. For me, it was always work. I never appreciated people that took drugs, that drank, that popped pills, or whatever they did before they got in the ring. Because remember what we're talking about, the fundamentals of protecting yourself and your opponent at all times? Now, after you're done, maybe you want to drink something, smoke something, pop a pill, that's on you. Because you've already done what you've done already. You've already done your work already. But it should be done not in the confines of the building, because the promoter still may need you to do some work last minute. I am not a fan of people that smoke. Well, let me rephrase that. Let me put that all in the thing, right? Because, yeah, fine. In New York, weed is decriminalized, right? Weed is not a drug, and I agree. You know, weed comes from the ground as long as you grow it from the ground and you do whatever you do to it and smoke it however you smoke it. Never smoked weed a day in my life. I don't know. But, like, if you're doing, like, that white China, you're doing pills and other stuff like that, like, you know what? Like none of that stuff should be done in the pro wrestling ring. Alcohol is legal. You shouldn't be drinking getting into the pro wrestling ring. That's not something that I tolerate. I've known people that I've wrestled with, and I could tell that they were off because they drank, and because of that, I kind of stepped back from those people. If you're going to drink and have a good time, do it, but not while you're working. You would never go to your regular job to go drink and to go do drugs. So why is pro wrestling different? Because we've built an environment to where people openly just did drugs in the locker room, to where people just drank in the locker room. Imagine going to your regular job right now. Fernando says that he just came back, that he is late because he just got out of work. Imagine Fernando sitting in the break room at work. I don't know what Fernando does for a living. We're going to pretend Fernando has a break room where he works. Imagine Fernando going for a break, going to lunch in his break room and seeing everybody taking shots. The first thing Fernando would do, hopefully, or anybody else would do, is remove themselves, because when HR gets called, you don't want to be caught up in that. Depending on the kind of person that you are, you might go ahead and you might snitch. Because you know what? The person that you don't like at your job might be in there doing that. But pro wrestling is different. Some places the promoter might be in on it too. I don't know. Fernando says that Raja was wrong. He violated the safety code among wrestlers. Yeah, 100%. But you know what, though? I can't be upset at Raja for violating the safety code amongst wrestlers, because you know what? He's not a wrestler. He says that he lost some respect for ex-wrestlers who are defending Raja. I see your point. I think there's a whole entire thing of accountability in there. Raja should have never been in that situation, right? KnokX Pro Wrestling should have never allowed Raja to be in that situation. And Stu eats a little bit of the accountability pie. Stu should have been able to protect himself, not in the ring, but say, you know what, I don't want to do anything with that guy. Stu should have said, hell no. Stu shouldn't have hit the guy in the head with the can. Maybe what we don't know from the full video is that Stu was told, hey, look, Raja's out there, go do a little work with him. I don't know. The video only shows a small part of the story. There's more to the story that we don't see. Look, I've had stiff moments in the ring. I've had moments to where I've had to, challenge somebody in the ring to protect myself. Because I was always taught, like I said, to protect yourself and your opponent at all times. There's a time that I almost got into a fight in a ring with a guy. So let me tell you this. There's a wrestling show. And the promoter told me that I was going to have a street fight with this guy. A street fight is and there was no storyline going into it. Having a street fight is probably one of the most safest matches that you can do. I'm using quotations with safety. It's one of the safest matches that you can do. And the reason why it's one of the safest matches that you can do, because you don't really have to worry about the person really having too much psychology. You're literally just beating each other up. That's what you're literally doing. If you can fight in real life, you can have a street fight. So the other wrestler wanted to go out there. And I'm not going to mention his name because his name really doesn't matter. So the wrestler wanted to go out there and just automatically go grab weapons right away. But me having the intelligence from Bubba Ray, Devon, Nunzio, Richie Rotten, Preacher, everybody that came before me, I knew straight off the back, if we go out there and just jump into the weapons right away, what is it else that we're going to offer them? One of the ways that I always learned about wrestling, I'm not going to go into it too deep because it's still early in the day, but when I learned pro wrestling, it was always related to let me see if I can clean this up, as sex, right? It was always compared to sex, sex. I can say it's sex. If you go out there right away and go immediately to the, what is there left for you to do? You've already reached that spot. That's why you got to give the fans the foreplay. The foreplay could be working through the weapons. Maybe you setting up the table, not really using the table. Let's wrestle for a little bit. So now it's time for me to go to my chair spot. There's no fake chairs in pro wrestling. Don't let anybody flim-flam you. Look, when they buy chairs from Walmart. I'm telling you. Home Depot. Wherever they sell folding chairs, that's where they buy chairs. They don't go to Gimmicks R Us. They don't go to fake chairs, fake tables R Us. They don't go there. I took the legit chair, flipped it around to the safe side, and hit the guy in the safest part of his back, right? The top part of your back is a very safe spot. The top part of your back and right here, very safe spot for you to take hits. I hit the guy there. I am not no punk. I grew up in the Bronx, and I always felt that if you're going to use the chair, but I'm not going to kill the guy, but he's going to know that I'm there. The chair makes a noise. The guy told me that was the stiffest chair shot he ever had, and he wanted to fight when he came into the back. I said, brother, look, I'm sorry if you felt like I hit you a little bit too hard, okay? I said, but I'm not going to go out there and just lightly touch you with the chair, because that's what he wanted. He told me that why couldn't I lightly touch him with the chair? Because you know what? The people didn't pay their hard-earned money to see you in a street fight for me to lightly touch you with the chair. Don't get it wrong. I was jacked up. I was the one that got back body dropped through 2 chairs, and it hurt the next day. I don't care what nobody tell me. But I was able to stand my ground. The other wrestlers came in the back and broke it up and said, no, we're not going to do it. Fine, because I wasn't going to do it. Because to me, pro wrestling, the first thing the word that comes before wrestling is pro, and I always handled myself like a pro. It was always a place of business, and it was not a place that I was just going to get into a fight to. If I had to defend myself, I'd defend myself. But I was not walking around to get into a fight. I was never walking around to take liberties with anybody. I never wanted to go there and do drugs, hang out, or do anything like that. It wasn't my style. Let's go to the chat. Fernando says that folks should have stepped in a lot sooner. Raja should not have been able to get 20 punches on Stu's face and head. You know what? I'm going to give you a hand clap. The reason why I'm going to give you a hand clap on that is I tell you this. People should have stepped in a lot sooner. But I'm going to tell you from the lens of a pro wrestler to why people probably didn't step in. The reason why they didn't step in is because they all know, hey, Raja's sitting ringside, and then in the match, in the main event, this is supposed to happen, where Raja's supposed to interject himself into the match. What should have happened was, what did happen was that when that occurred, when Raja put himself in the ring, somebody was probably watching on a monitor or maybe looking through the curtain. Believe it or not, at an independent show, if there's no monitor in the back, we're all standing at the curtain and watching. And what happened was that someone was sitting watching at the curtain, and they go, oh crap, this is for real. And that's when they went on and made the save to the guy. That's what happened. Maybe they should have put the whole locker room at the curtain just in case, because they knew it was a volatile situation. Or how about they just not use the guy altogether? I don't know. I'm not a rocket scientist here. I only pretend to be one on TV. Right? I'm not Neil deGrasse Tyson. But maybe what they should have done was maybe just not put those 2 guys in a situation altogether. 20 punches is a lot of punches, right? Raja said that he was going to F up Syko Stu. Raja said that he was going to get his lick back. As long as he got his lick back, he was cool. He got his lick back. He got his lick back on this guy right here, Syko Stu. That's what he wanted. Raja wanted to get his lick back on Syko Stu, and he got that. He took liberties. When he made him think that he was cool, and he wasn't cool. But here's my question that I'm going to ask you, though. What do you really expect from Raja Jackson? The guy's an animal. The guy's an animal. Animal. You can't really be 100% upset if you put your hand in the dog's mouth and the dog bites you. The dog's a dog. There's no reason why Raja should have been allowed to still be at the event or still have a spot. You know what, brother? Thank you so much for coming. This is what we want to give you tonight. Let us give you this, but you don't have to go in the ring tonight. Easy night. Easy night. But a lot of people dropped the ball. Shout out to Mr. Beast and the others who are raising funds to help Stu. That's what Fernando says. And if you'd like to donate as well, too, I've got the link in my GoFundMe. Go ahead and donate. Maybe what we could do in the future is when Syko Stu comes out of the hospital and when he's good to go, maybe we can get him here on the show. But you know what? I'm not going to reach out to Syko Stu. You know what? Because I don't want to feel like I'm exploiting the brother. So this message is for Syko Stu. Stu, if you want to come in here, you want to talk about it, the ball's in your court. Reach out to me. I'm not hard to find. Reach out to me. I mean, we can get you on the show. Maybe you could talk about it because everybody wants to hear from you. Tell us what happened. From my lens as a wrestling fan, fans know stiff versus shoot. You can watch pro wrestling and go, oh, that was a real punch. Sometimes punches are so good you don't know. When you're watching WWE, they cut the camera so quick that you can't even see. Watching real violence in a wrestling ring, it crosses the line. You know why? Because MMA is not pro wrestling. That's when the entertainment becomes disturbing, and that's why I am not showing the video. Because there's zero entertainment factor in Raja Jackson punching off the face of Syko Stu. There's zero entertainment in it. If you want to watch the video, go watch the video on your own time. No offense. But this whole sorry, still sick. This whole entire thing though breaks the illusion instead of protecting it. The illusion of pro wrestling, we know anybody that sits here and anybody that comes up to somebody else and go, hey, you watch pro wrestling? Why do you watch pro wrestling? It's fake. Let me tell you this. You're an asshole. The reason why you're an asshole is because we know what it is. There's no guy swinging around in red and blue underwear in New York City. There's no guy running around in all green talking about he wants to smash and his name is Hulk. There's no guy with bones that are adamantium that are coming out of his body. None of that is real. It's all entertainment. We know that pro wrestling is a work. We know that. There's an illusion in the whole entire thing of pro wrestling. But the illusion has been ruined by KnokX Pro Wrestling because they allowed a random ass regular guy to step into a pro wrestling ring. I don't care what anybody tells me. Raja, he may be an MMA fighter, but he's not a pro wrestler. So to me, he's just a regular ass random guy who had no business being in a pro wrestling ring. The question I want to ask you is, do incidents like this make you question indie wrestling safety, or do you chalk it up as the one bad night? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to let you know what I think. I live in New York, and New York is a athletic commission state. I would love to run my own pro wrestling company in New York State. But it's all tied up in, you got to get a doctor. You need to have ambulance on site. You need to have insurance. You need to do this. You got to pay taxes to the people. I'm not saying that you shouldn't pay taxes to the state, but the state of New York, they want to have their money. Oh, and you got to get a license as well too. I think that it made sense in the 1960s when they didn't know that pro wrestling was a work, when pro wrestling was in the same exact realm as boxing, right? But I think that the regulations for pro wrestling should be less. But I still think that there should still be some sort of licensing component of this. I think that there should be some sort of insurance that you should have, that the wrestlers should maybe be licensed to show that they are healthy enough to be in the ring pro wrestling, because there's a lot of people out there that have bad judgment. And by putting Raja in this opportunity shows the bad judgment to the people that were involved. I don't think it's just one bad night. I just think it's just a night that you know about. There's so many nights, so many things that have gone on in the realm of pro wrestling on the indie level that you don't even know about because nobody talked about it. The reason why I think that it's got blown up out of proportion is because of who was the person that dropped the 20-plus punches on the person's face. That person is Raja Jackson, the son of Rampage Jackson. Fernando does say that he thinks that wrestling may be scripted, but the risks are real. 100%. I never forget going to the doctor. And I had 2 rotator cuffs that were damaged. And the nurse says to me, can I ask you a question? And I go, yeah, sure. And the nurse says, so is what you do real? I said, nah, it's not real. I said, I'm actually pretending. I'm here wasting your time today. My injury's not real. And she laughs, but I wasn't laughing. But she looked at me weird because she goes, wait a minute, he's messing with me. Fernando says that he chalks it up to one bad night. Looking at the poll, 80% of people say that Raja Jackson is at fault. KnokX Pro Wrestling has 20% of the blame, while SykoStu has 0%. I still think, I don't disagree with how everybody's voting, but you can't really apply a 1% to SykoStu. Stu owns a small piece of the accountability pie, and I've talked about it before. But let's look beyond wrestling, beyond fandom. Let's just look at this as flat out human beings, because that's what we are. Stu is the father. He's a U.S. veteran from the military. He is a human being. Like I said, he's not fully off the hook here. It takes mutual consent for people to get into a work, for people to work. It takes two people to work together. You can't work by yourself. It takes two people to work. Maybe somebody told him, hey, look, this guy, he's an MMA fighter. I don't know who the hell he is, but, you know, he's going to be out there recording. Go out there and make a little, you know, video with him. I don't know. If that's not the case, that would mean that Stu went into business for himself. I don't know. There's a father right now. There's a veteran. There's a human being who's in the hospital right now. Why is he in the hospital? Because somebody took liberties with him. Because the people that he put in place to trust him, the people that he put in place to trust, failed him. KnokX Pro Wrestling, they failed Stu that night. Raja, let's look at Raja. Raja Jackson. Raja Jackson's a grown-ass man who made a terrible choice that night. Raja Jackson was not in charge of his emotions, and I want to piggyback off of what Fernando said. Fernando said that we are all flawed humans, 100%. And I think one of the biggest superpowers a human being could ever have is self-awareness. Being aware that you are flawed and then going to do something about it to make yourself unflawed or to make yourself better is a hell of a flex. But what I always tell people, you need to be in charge of your emotions. Don't behave impulsively. Don't let somebody okie dokie flim flam you or put the battery in your back. Don't. Because 25 seconds can easily get you 25 years. They are handing out 25 years to life like it's free. What if Raja had, I can say it, right? What if Raja Jackson had, and I hate, you know, it's because YouTube, people be censoring words, but I'm just going to say it. What if Raja had killed Stu? What if he did that in the ring? What if he scrambled the guy's brains and now Stu is now a vegetable? Can't do nothing for himself. At the end of this whole entire thing is about accountability. It's about accountability and straight up respect for life. If you want to go in there and maybe get 2 punches off the guy, maybe what you could have did was slam the guy real hard and maybe get 1 punch off of him, you would have still been wrong. He would have still been wrong, but he wouldn't be as wrong as it is now, because I don't think that, you know, that the brother would have been in the hospital all laid up on his back with a GoFundMe. If you're looking for the link is in the description. Here's a really good question. Good question. Let me know what you think. Whether you're watching this live or on demand, because, you know, I love the comments. I respond to every single comment. I think there's 2 comments on the top of my head that I need to go back and respond to. I will go and do that for another episode after I'm done with this. But do you think Raja Jackson deserves a second chance in wrestling down the line, yes or no? If you ask me, no. You had your opportunity and you blew it. You blew your opportunity. I think that maybe in MMA, once you go to MMA and go to people who were really able to fight, right? You know, if this was back in the day, that Stu would not be able to have a job in wrestling anymore because he lost a fight to a regular person. It was that if you were back in the days, if you're going to fight somebody for real, you need to beat them up for real. Wrestling has come a long way, a long way. That brother shouldn't be on his back. Raja Jackson shouldn't have been the person to have been in the ring with him after their altercation. And KnokX Pro Wrestling, shame on you. If the reason why KnokX Pro Wrestling does not have an affiliation with the WWE is because they played themselves, that's good for them. You played yourself. If the reason why I think KnokX Wrestling, you know what? A quote that I'm going to say from Judge Million, I'm going to remix it a little bit. In the beginning, when you watch that video, it was two men playing Canis Mas Macho. Who was more manly? And you know what? At the end of the day, Raja played Canis Mas Macho, and ultimately he's going to lose. He hasn't lost yet, but he is going to lose. It's wrestling. And it's a fine line when you come to wrestling, right? Are we doing this for TV, or are we doing this in real life? And if you ask me, that looked a little bit like real life. The promoter saying to Raja, you know what? Maybe we could turn this into something, right? That's the negligence. That's the negligence, that the factor that I'm saying. And I'm not a lawyer. I've never been on Law and Order. I'm not pretending to be one on TV. I'm just saying from my common sense as a human being. KnokX Pro Wrestling, there's a little bit of negligence there. Because how are you going to take something that happened on a live stream? It was being live streamed on YouTube. And you were going to take that and turn that into something? For who? The people that were sitting in the building already? You were not going to get one extra ticket out of the whole thing. But you know what you got? You got your WWE ID revoked. You got a police investigation into your thing. And you know what you did? I can see it because I'm at the end of it. You know what y'all did? A lot of y'all went into this thing thinking it was going to be fun, but y'all fucked up the money. Let's go to the chat one last time. Fernando's on fire today. Fernando says that hopefully this doesn't bring a black eye to the WWE ID program. You know what? I hope it doesn't either. Because I know a bunch of people in the indies right now who need that extra look. I know a bunch of people right now in the indies who would benefit a lot for WWE ID, and they would not want to associate themselves with anything that happened at KnokX Pro Wrestling. So yeah, 100%. Fernando says that I don't think that Raja should get a second chance in wrestling, which I agree. He says that he can follow in his father's footsteps in MMA and let them just deal with him. You know what? You got a hand clap again. Here's the thing with pro wrestling. Pro wrestling has always danced on the edge of reality and performance. I think that's one of the things that makes pro wrestling so good. But what happened at KnokX Pro Wrestling, that's no performance. What it is a betrayal of trust and a tragedy for one man, and a wake-up call for maybe the industry altogether. But there's the bigger truth. Wrestling only works when the trust is sacred. So if we lose that, we don't just lose the match, we lose the very heart of professional wrestling. What is one word to describe this whole incident? Type that into the chat right now, whether you're watching live or on demand. If you ask me for one word to describe this whole entire incident, I think it's terrible. Well, that was my thoughts on the whole entire comment with Raja Jackson. This is another episode of the Tristen Law Show. If you like what I did here today, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I'll be back on Saturday at noon for my 40th birthday bash as we take a walk down memory lane of pro wrestling in the last 40 years. Fernando, thanks so much for joining us. This is the Tristen Law Show. I'm Tristen Law Show, and I'll see you next time.
Flashing red lights, driving at night.